This is additional assignment number 1, and it comes out of your having watched Did You Know? So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to find out the populations of India, China, and the United States. And I'm going to show you 2 new ways to look for those populations. Let's first go to something called Google Squared. So we're going to go to www.google.com/squared. But let's look for country populations. Country populations. And we're going to click square it. And what happens is that Google builds a table. In this particular case, it's got the item name, image, description, etc. You can add additional columns if you want. You can get rid of particular countries if you want. We're just looking for the ones that we want at the moment. We're looking for India. There's India. And we've got maps, we've got description, we've got currency, we've got capital, continent, language. We scroll on over, religion, etc. And we could even do population if we want. So why don't we add a column called population. So it's going to search for all of these countries at that same time and going to give us the population. Now let's go back. We found India and we've found a column over here. I'll spread out my spreadsheet or Google response so that we can see this. Now let's go back. Oh, we didn't find the United States and China. Well, down at the bottom of this column we can add items. So let's put United States. We'll add it. And let's put China, and we'll add that. Now it's going to search and fill in all of these boxes, including the population. All right, here you will be able to see all of them, I think. Yes. India, 1.1 billion. And it says low confidence. That's because this is an older value. And then here's the United States, 298 million, low confidence. That's an older one. In China, 1.333 billion, or 1,333 million, if you want to think of it that way, because we're going to think of that way in a minute. So notice that we've got India, almost 1.2 billion. The United States almost 300 million, and China a little over 1.3 billion. So that means that what? It means that the United States, in terms of population, is approximately 25% of the population of either India or China. Okay, now why have I asked you to do this? I want you to become acquainted with Google Squared, and I want you to think about the implications of the fact that the United States does not have nearly as many people living in it as does India or does China. Okay, now the second part of this exercise is I want you to become familiar with another way of searching for information, and that's by using Wolfram Alpha. So what we're going to do is we're going to sign in here, or we're going to go to, not necessarily sign in, but go to www.wolfram, W-O-L-F-R-A-M, alpha. So we're going to type in here, we're going to try our own, we're going to type in country populations. And we're going to do a search for it. And what's going to happen is that Wolfram Alpha is going to go out, search the net, and it's going to come back with information about all countries and population. So we have a summary here that's a world summary. The highest is China, 1.31 billion. And it's very close to the data we got from Google a minute ago. And the lowest is 48 people in Pitcairn Islands. Do you know where the Pitcairn Islands are? I don't. But we could probably find them on the map if we searched right here. Nope, we can't. But that's another exercise that you might want to use. Okay, so here we go. We've got the recent population history of the world, the total long-term population, etc. And we've got population rankings. China. Now this says 1,314 million. In Europe, they often use a period instead of a comma. So this is the equivalent to 1.3 billion. India, 1.18 billion. That's very close to the data that we got from Google search a minute ago. And this is a little bit higher for the United States, but 311 million people. Again, we notice that the United States is about the quarter of us, about 1/4 quarter of the size of China and India in terms of population. Now, what does that mean for what you just watched in Did You Know? Well, let me ask this question. If we take the 25% of the people in India or in China who have 2 eyes and are the tallest 25%, then they will outnumber all of the people in the United States, because the top 25% of the population in China and India exceeds the entire population of the United States. So you have to be careful when statistics are coming at you very rapidly and understand what they actually say. Now, yes, China will have more people who speak English if they get 25% of their population to speak English. The United States, 100%, still would be less than 25% of the Chinese population. Okay, so that's the point that we want to make. Same thing about India, same thing about number of graduates. All of those statistics have to be considered in terms of the fact that China and India are approximately 4 times the size in terms of population of the United States. Now, while we're at Wolfram Alpha, let's also take a little look at something else. I want you to type in Bermuda. Bermuda. So let's do Bermuda, and let's look for Bermuda, and we get all sorts of facts about Bermuda. We get its location. We can find the Pitcairn Islands in a minute, which we're going to do. But right there's Bermuda. You probably all know where that is. And we're going to look at the population. It's got 64,000 people. Okay, 64,000 people. And the square miles of Bermuda, 20.85 square miles of space. 64,000 people. World rank 209th. Now, okay, let's do just a regular old search in Google. I'm going to go back to Google. Regular old search for Google. And in this search, I'm going to do a search for Mobile, Alabama, square mile. But the population, my goodness, in 2008, it was 191,000, down some since, but that's considerably larger than the entire population of Bermuda. Considerably larger. 64,000 and 200,000. So Mobile's about 3 times Bermuda in terms of population. Well, what about in terms of area? Because that's the one thing that we wanted to think about. Bermuda was about 20 square miles. What about the square miles of Mobile? Mobile is 118 square miles, or approximately 6 times the area of Bermuda. If you've got 3 times the population, and if you've got 6 times the area, wouldn't it be reasonable to expect that it would be harder to wire everybody just in Mobile than it would be in Bermuda? I think that's a reasonable sort of conclusion one could reach. And yet, in Did You Know, we were seeing a comparison between Bermuda and the United States. Now, the reason that that statistic was added like that was to knock you in the head and say, wake up, the United States, in terms of reaching people, isn't doing as good a job in terms of the total population as Bermuda has. But it's a lot easier to do in Bermuda. That wasn't added in the movie, but you can add that to your own thinking. The point that I'm trying to make here is that you can't just be sucked in by statistics being thrown rapidly at you. You've got to think about what they mean, the context in which they're being delivered, and the real message that is being put forth. There will be a number of additional assignments as we go through the class. You're responsible for constantly watching the class blog and doing them on time. Thanks. I hope you found this interesting and it's given you a new tool with which to, or 2 new tools with which to work.